Right, understood. Mr. Sebastian, why France is not doing the same as Germany and kind of as UK? They didn't impose severe sanctions over Russians. Some critics said because France has a presidential election coming ahead, and this will be the turning point to the current president, Emanuel Macron, that it is well clear in France he is not the next president. People may look for another. So he's playing now his last cards to stay in his position. This is why he is trying to end the war.
Yes, Macron is trying to be the peacemaker, so that's why he's not as hard, as the UK or Germany. But France has an independent way of diplomacy because we have a Gaullist tradition, and you have to know that in the military area, in the intelligence area, you have a lot of people denouncing what NATO is doing against Russia. So you have in France still a kind of a resistance, against NATO policy and against all this propaganda coming from the Anglo-American neoconservative think tank. So that's a point to understand. Then all the candidates are now oppressed to say that Putin is a bad guy and the European Union is a good, and we have to help Ukrainians. So you have a big debate against the candidate to respect, the mainstream media narrative. So that's a very difficult situation, of course, for Macron, because he wants to be the peacemaker, as he is the head of the European Union right now. France is the head of the European Union.
And he wants to take the credits of ending the war.
Exactly. He wants to be the peacemaker. But you have a lot of pressure on the French company, even with Macron, because Zelensky has talked to the National Assembly last week, saying that Renault, Leroy Merlin, Auchan, all these biggest companies of France have to remove from Russia. So you have a big pressure coming also from Zelensky and all the NATO group. And I have to say good news, because it is very important that people know that on Sunday, you have the Sunday newspaper, Le Journal du Dimanche, who publish a poll by the IFOP, which is the most important poll institute in France, saying that 52% of the French population is agree with one of the theses of the Russian part. So they don't believe anymore, the Western, even the French media about the conflicts going on in Ukraine. So it's kind of funny because as the Sunday newspaper is saying that the majority of France has become a conspirationist and complotist because they support not the narrative of the EU and the NATO, but support the narrative of Putin. So it's funny that we have this paradox in France saying that almost all the French population now are in complotist.
This is really important.
It's a good news, I think, to not mix the government and the population.